In the quiet suburb of Willow Creek, where the maple trees lined the streets like silent guardians standing sentinel over neatly manicured lawns, lived Elena Ramirez. At 68 years old, she carried the weight of a life that had been poured entirely into the well-being of others. Her hands, once smooth and quick from years of waiting tables, were now etched with deep lines from endless labor, arthritis creeping in like an uninvited guest. Her small bungalow, with its faded blue shutters and a garden bursting with vibrant roses that she tended to daily as if they were her children, served as her sanctuary, or at least, that's what she had convinced herself it was. But deep down, Elena knew it was more of a holding place, a spot where she waited for the next call from her family, the next opportunity to give. Elena's story didn't begin in Willow Creek. It started far south, in a dusty town called San Miguel in Mexico, where the sun beat down mercilessly on adobe houses and the air smelled of corn tortillas and earth. She was 19 when she crossed the border, her suitcase light but her dreams heavy. She had left behind a family struggling with poverty, promising her mother she'd send money back. Learning English from grainy soap operas on a borrowed TV, Elena found work in a downtown diner in Los Angeles, starting as a dishwasher and quickly moving to waitress. The tips were meager, but she saved every penny, dreaming of a stable life. Then came Carlos, a charming truck driver with a smile that could melt ice. Their romance was brief, passionate, and ended abruptly when he learned she was pregnant. "I can't do this," he said, packing his bags one night while 5-year-old Alex slept in the next room. Elena held her son close as thunder shook the windows, whispering, "We'll make it, me Joe. Just you and me." And they did, through sheer grit and unspoken promises that bound them tighter than blood. From that day, Elena's life became a series of sacrifices. She worked double shifts at the diner, her feet aching, her back protesting, but her resolve unyielding. "Education is your ticket out of this," she'd tell Alex, her voice firm as she ironed his school uniforms late into the night, the steam rising like ghosts of her own lost dreams. Alex was a bright boy, with dark eyes like his father's but a kindness all his own. He excelled in school, bringing home report cards that made Elena's heart swell with pride. "Mom, you're my hero," he'd say, hugging her after soccer games where she cheered from the sidelines, her voice hoarse from shouting. By the time Alex was in high school, Elena had clawed her way up to manager at the diner. The promotion came with a small raise, but it meant longer hours. She skipped meals to afford his soccer cleats, sold her grandmother's gold necklace, an heirloom passed down from generations, for his science fair project supplies. "It's just metal," she told herself, though the pawn shop's cold counter felt like a betrayal. Alex won first place that year, and his beaming face made it worth it. College was the big leap. Alex got into UCLA on a partial scholarship for engineering, but the tuition gaps were wide. Elena took on a second job cleaning offices at night, her hands raw from bleach and scrub brushes. "Go chase your dreams, Alex. I'll be right here holding the ladder," she said, waving him off with tears in her eyes as he drove away in the beat-up car she'd bought him. During those years, she lived on coffee and determination, sending money for books, rent, and food. Alex called weekly, his voice full of gratitude. "Mom, I don't know how you do it." He graduated top of his class, landing a job at a tech firm in Silicon Valley. Elena attended the ceremony, her simple floral dress standing out among the designer suits and pearls, but she held her head high. "My boy made it," she whispered to no one, clapping until her palms stung. That night, at the family dinner she insisted on paying for, Alex toasted her. "To Mom, the strongest woman I know." Life moved on. Alex met Sophia at work, a sharp marketing executive with ambitions as tall as the skyscrapers she navigated. Their wedding was lavish. Elena contributed $15,000, half her savings. "It's for your happiness," she said when Alex protested. "You deserve the best." The grandkids came soon after, Mia, with her curly hair and endless energy, and Lily, quiet and thoughtful with a penchant for drawing. They became Elena's world, her reason to keep going. At 60, Elena retired from the diner, her body demanding rest. But instead of slowing down, she sold her LA apartment and moved to Willow Creek to be closer to Alex's family. The bungalow cost her dearly, but family is everything, she reasoned. She became the full-time babysitter, arriving at dawn with fresh fruit and stories from her childhood. "Abuela's here to help," she'd say, scooping up the girls in hugs that smelled of lavender soap. The sacrifices continued, unseen and uncounted. When Alex and Sofia bought their first house, a spacious colonial with a pool, Elena provided the down payment, $30,000 from her hidden investments. She'd started investing in her 30s, reading books on stocks from the library, putting away small amounts that grew over time. Tech stocks, bonds, a small real estate flip here and there. By now, her portfolio was worth over $500,000, but she never told anyone. "It's for emergencies," she'd think. For Mia's ballet lessons, Elena paid the fees without being asked. Lily's asthma treatments and medications? Covered from her pocket. She cooked authentic Mexican meals, folded laundry with precision, read bedtime stories in Spanish to keep the heritage alive. "We couldn't do it without you, Mom," Alex would say, though his hugs grew briefer, his eyes darting to his phone more often. Sofia was gracious at first, but subtle shifts emerged. "Elena, maybe let the girls choose their own clothes. You're a bit old school with the frilly dresses." Elena nodded, swallowing the hurt. Alex's sighs when she offered parenting advice, "Mom, we've got this under control. Times have changed." She brushed it off, attributing it to the stress of young parenthood and demanding jobs. Then came the financial strains that tested everything. Alex's company downsized during a recession, and he confided in her over coffee one afternoon. "We're tight, Mom. The mortgage is killing us, and Sofia's hours got cut." Elena didn't hesitate. She started sending $600 a month, cutting her own groceries to basics like rice and beans, skipping the doctor visits for her aching knees. "Family helps family," she said. Alex accepted, his thank you sincere but fleeting. One crisp autumn day, the first crack became a chasm. It was Elena's birthday, her 68th. She baked her famous Tres Leches cake, the one with extra cinnamon that the girls loved, and drove to Alex's house. The girls squealed and hugged her at the door, their small arms around her neck a balm for any ache. But Sofia's smile was tight, her eyes flicking to the clock. "Oh, Elena, we weren't expecting you so early. The party isn't until later." "Party?" Elena's heart lifted. But inside, the house buzzed with preparations, not for her. Balloons floated with happy promotion, Sofia, scrawled in gold. Guests arrived, colleagues, friends, neighbors. Alex pulled her aside in the kitchen, his face flushed. "Mom, it's Sofia's big day at work. She got the VP spot." Happy birthday to you too." "We forgot the date." Forgotten. The word echoed in her mind like a hollow drum. Elena sat in a corner of the living room, nursing a glass of water, watching as toasts were made to Sofia's success, laughter filling the air. Mia and Lily played nearby, but when Elena tried to join their game, Sofia whisked them away. "Let Abuela rest, girls. She's looking a bit tired today." The guests glanced her way with pitying smiles, and Elena felt invisible, a ghost at the feast. That night, alone in her bungalow, Elena cried into her pillow, the cake uneaten on the counter. How could they forget? But she forgave, as she always did. They're busy with life. It happens. The humiliations piled up like autumn leaves. At Christmas, she spent $2,000 on gifts, a bike for Mia, an art set for Lily, a smartwatch for Alex, jewelry for Sofia. She arrived on Christmas Eve with arms full of wrapped packages, the paper glittering under the lights. The girls ran to her, excited, but Sofia quickly intervened. "Kids, put Abuela's presents under the tree with the others. We'll open them all together tomorrow." The next morning, her gifts got lost in the mountain of packages they had bought themselves. When it was time to open them, no one mentioned who had given what. The girls thanked everyone vaguely, and Elena smiled through the pang. Later, Sofia pulled her aside. "Elena, the jewelry is lovely, but it's not really my style. Maybe save it for the girls when they're older. She handed the box back without even trying it on. Then came the flu that laid her low. For a week, Elena burned with fever, barely able to rise for water. She called Alex, her voice weak. "Mijo, could you bring some soup? Or just check on me?" His response was rushed. "Mom, we're swamped. Sophia's got a deadline, and the girls have school. Can't a neighbor help?" "But I'm really sick," she pleaded. "You're tough, Mom. It's just a cold. Call if it gets worse." He hung up, and no call came. It was her elderly neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, who brought soup and medicine, sitting by her bed with kind words. When Elena recovered and visited, no one asked how she had been. It was as if her suffering hadn't happened. The final blow came on Thanksgiving, a day meant for gratitude. Elena had slaved over tamales, pozole, and flan, her kitchen filled with aromas of home. She arrived at Alex's house, arms laden, expecting the usual warm welcome. The table was set elegantly, Sophia's touch evident in the crystal glasses and linen napkins. As they sat to eat, Alex cleared his throat after the first course. "Mom, we've been thinking about something important. You're getting on in years, and the drive here must be exhausting for you. Maybe it's time to look into a senior community? There's one nearby with great activities, like bingo and classes." Elena's fork clattered to her plate. "What are you talking about? I'm fine in my home. I manage just fine." Sophia leaned in, her voice dripping with false concern. "It's just, Elena, you're always here. We love having you, but we need some space as a family. And honestly, the girls are growing up, they don't need constant babysitting anymore. It's for your own good, friends your age, medical care on site." The room fell silent, the only sound the ticking clock. Mia, sensing the tension, giggled nervously. "Abuela, are you moving to an old people's home? Like in the movies?" Sophia burst into laughter, covering her mouth. Alex joined in, his chuckles awkward at first, then louder as if to diffuse the moment. "Come on, Mom, don't look so shocked. It's not like we're kicking you out. It's for your benefit. You could make friends." Friends. As if she didn't have a life outside them. Elena's cheeks burned with humiliation, tears pricking her eyes. Her own son, laughing at the idea of shipping her off like an outdated appliance. The girls looked confused, Lily whispering, "Why is Abuela crying?" Sophia shushed her. "She's just emotional, sweetie." Elena stood, her legs shaky but her voice steady. "I've given everything for this family, my time, my money, my heart. And this is how you repay me?" Alex waved it off, still chuckling. "Mom, you're being dramatic as ever. Sit down and eat. We can talk later." She didn't sit. She left the food on the table, the door clicking shut behind her like the closing of a chapter. In her car, tears blurred the road as she drove home. That night, in the silence of her bungalow, rage simmered beneath the hurt. How had it come to this? She paced the living room, memories flooding like a relentless storm. She remembered the nights when Alex was small, feverish with chickenpox, and she stayed up rocking him, singing lullabies until dawn. The day he broke his arm falling from a tree, and she rushed him to the ER, paying the bill with credit she couldn't afford. The high school graduation where she sat alone in the audience, her heart bursting as he walked the stage. The college years, when she'd send care packages with his favorite snacks, each one a piece of her love. And the investments, she'd started them in secret. After Carlos left, she vowed never to be dependent again. Library books on finance became her Bible. Small investments in Apple stock when it was cheap, bonds that matured steadily, a duplex she bought and rented out for extra income. She'd flipped it for profit, reinvesting wisely. No one knew, she lived modestly, her wealth a safety net she never touched, except to help Alex. Why hide it, she wondered aloud. Fear, perhaps. Fear that revealing it would change how they saw her, from loving mother to cash cow. But now, the irony was bitter. They saw her as a burden anyway, despite the $67,000 she'd given in the last 5 years alone, the house down payment, wedding contributions, monthly stipends, gifts, medical bills. Enough, she whispered to the empty room. The humiliation had ignited a fire long dormant. The next morning, Elena rose with purpose. She called her financial advisor, Carla, a no-nonsense woman she'd met through a women's investment group years ago. Carla, it's time. I need to access my full portfolio and make some changes. Carla's voice was warm. Elena, you've built quite the empire here. Over $750,000 now, with the recent market uptick. What's the plan? Retirement paradise? Something like that, Elena replied. Over coffee at a local cafe, they mapped it out. First, cancel the automatic monthly transfers to Alex's account. They'll notice immediately, Carla warned. Let them, Elena said, her jaw set. Next, close the joint savings account she'd opened for family emergencies, which only they dipped into. Then, liquidate some assets for liquidity. I'm selling the bungalow too, Elena added. Time for a fresh start. By afternoon, she was at the realtor's office. The bungalow sold quickly in the hot market, netting her another $200,000. At the lawyer's, the air thick with the scent of polished wood, she revised her will. Everything to a charity for single mothers and their children, she instructed Mr. Gomez, her longtime attorney. And separate trusts for my granddaughters, Mia and Lily. They can access at 25, but only if they've maintained contact with me, not through their parents, but genuinely. Mr. Gomez adjusted his glasses. This is drastic, Elena. Are you sure? Family is family. Family should be love, not obligation, she replied. I've learned that the hard way. With finances secured, Elena turned to her destination. Mexico had always called her back. During her investing days, she'd quietly purchased a beachfront villa in Puerto Vallarta, a 3-bedroom haven with ocean views and a private garden. Rented out for years, the income had added to her nest egg. Now, it was hers to claim. She booked a first-class flight, why not? She'd never indulged. But before leaving, she needed closure. Sitting at her kitchen table, surrounded by packing boxes, she wrote the letters. The pen felt heavy, but the words flowed. To Alex, my dearest Mijo, by the time you read this, I'll be in Puerto Vallarta, living in the villa I own, a secret I've kept for years. I've cancelled all financial support. The monthly money, the emergency account, all gone. I've given you my life, shifts worked, dreams deferred, love unending. But you saw me as a burden, laughing at my pain. This isn't punishment, it's a lesson in independence I should have taught sooner. If you want your mother back, show me respect, not greed. Love, Mom. To Sophia, Sophia, I welcomed you as a daughter, but you treated me as an inconvenience. My generosity was love, not weakness. Now, you'll build without me. Perhaps you'll understand a mother's sacrifice one day. To Mia and Lily, my precious girls, Abuela loves you more than stars. I'm going to a beautiful place by the sea. When you're older, come find me. We'll make memories on your terms. Until then, draw me pictures of your dreams. She sealed them, left them with Mrs. Thompson to mail after her departure. The airport hummed with life as Elena boarded, her suitcase light once more, but this time with hope. The plane soared, Willow Creek fading like a bad dream. In Puerto Vallarta, the villa was even better than photos, white stucco walls, terracotta tiles, a porch overlooking turquoise waves. She unpacked, hanging her clothes in the spacious closet, placing photos of the girls on the mantel. The first night, she walked the beach, sand between her toes, the sunset painting the sky in pinks and oranges. This is mine, she breathed. Life bloomed. She joined a local women's group, volunteering at a shelter for abused mothers, sharing her story to inspire. She learned to surf, clumsy at first, laughing as waves knocked her down. Evenings, she hosted dinners for new friends, the table laden with fresh seafood and stories. Her arthritis eased with the warm climate, her spirits soaring. Alex's calls came fast and furious. "Mom, what happened to the money? We need it for Lily's treatments." Then, "Where are you? This isn't funny." Elena answered once. "I'm living, Alex. Miss me, or my checkbook?" He went silent. Months later, a knock at her door. Alex stood there, suitcase in hand, eyes red from the flight. "Mom. I came to apologize. We were wrong. So wrong. I took you for granted." She let him in, brewing coffee on the porch. "Talk, me Joe. But words aren't enough." Over days, he opened up, the stress, the entitlement, the regret. Sophia called, tearful. "Elena, forgive us." Reconciliation was slow, visits, honest conversations, no money involved. The girls came for summer, building sandcastles, learning Spanish from abuela. In the end, Betrayal had forged empowerment. Elena's life was her own, rich with purpose. She taught others, sacrifice has limits, self-love is boundless. And in the whisper of the waves, she found peace.